Okay, let's see here. It's showing we're live, but we will see what happens from here. Bum, bum, ba-dum. Just getting all this dialed in. Wish there was a better software for all this, but there probably is, but I do not have it. Let's see. Alrighty, that's going. Looks like I'm showing up that I am live. Fantastic. Alrighty, docs, YouTube live panel, and chat. Hi, chat. We are running approximately 5-second delay from okay. Let's. Hey, Jarrett, welcome to the live stream. Good to see you, buddy. You know, things in general are pretty darn good, right? Super stoked on that rower that I scored yesterday. I mean, that is just a massive friggin' win to have landed that thing, right? Alrighty, let's see how stable the stream is. Nah, lighting's not very good. I need to invest in some better stuff, I think. Okay. Hey, Jarrett, welcome to the live stream. Good to see you, buddy. You know, things in general are... Alrighty, let's see here. Looks like we've got 2 of you in here, if I'm seeing that correctly. And again, chat, I'm running probably 5, maybe an 8-second delay, so please bear that in mind if you do ask questions or chime in. The second I see your messages pop up in the chat window, I will respond to them as quickly as I can. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, you know, I just don't know what it is. My internet connection's pretty solid here. It's just frustrating. Yeah, I wish I knew what the issue was because I'm not showing any dropped frames or anything on my side. But we will see how this goes. You know. Things in general are pretty dark. Yeah, it is odd. It's very frustrating, to be honest with you, because I feel like I just have the worst luck with this kind of tech. I don't know. But anyways, enough feeling bad for myself. Let's dive in. And, you know, might just be you and me today. It'll probably be a shorter one, which is fine. With that being said, let's go ahead and go over the topics I have planned. First thing, so if I do try and play it back on my phone, if I have the live stream going on my phone at the same time versus here on the computer, I'm noticing that I'm getting some lag and I'm getting some stutter. So it's definitely a client-side issue. I use OBS for my software, which from what I understand is supposed to be the best free one out there. You know, if I can grow these, I'll probably consider investing in a nicer setup and nicer kit. But for right now, to be candid, it doesn't make sense to. Let me see, as I say that, let me see kind of how much lag I've got. It's just frustrating. Yeah, I wish I knew what the issue was because I'm not showing any dropped frames or anything on my side. But we will see how this goes. You know. Yeah, I'm sure you do know all the frustrations of streaming. That's got to be huge for you with what you do. And for you, those of you who don't know who are in the chat right now, because it looks like there's two of you, Jarrett, sorry. He's on Twitch, I believe it is, as Gamer Strongman, so hit him up sometime. Sure, he does some crazy stuff. I hear he even lifts barefoot on occasion. Ooh. All right, but that being said, let's go ahead. Let's knock this one out since it's going to be a more finicky one today. Let's have some fun. So, first off, let's talk about my rower. That's the first thing I was going to knock out of the park here. Got a $16 Concept 2 rower at my local Idaho Youth Ranch, which was just awesome. So what happened there was on Friday, I blew out my shorts. You know how it is, like just kind of in the inner thigh. You got too much cake, you're throwing your leg over the top bar of a bicycle so you can hop on there. They ripped, bada bing, bada boom. So then yesterday I needed to go to the youth range to buy some new shorts. I'm kind of a cheapskate in that regard. I don't like spending a lot of money on clothes. I think it's stupid. It's wasteful. So I go there, find some nice shorts, buy them. And while I'm looking around outside in their back area, just to kind of see, and you never know what they're going to have. It's a thrift store, right? There was half of the Concept 2 rower just sitting there. And I was thinking to myself, okay, that's half of the Concept 2 rower. I want the other half. Like, what the hell? That's a Concept 2. So I walk up to that half that's already out, and I pull on the handle a few times just to see if it's working. Yep, flywheel's fine. PM5, so the latest computer, turns on. So that's operational, obviously. And I'm thinking to myself, look, even if I can only get this half of it, I'll just order the second half from Concept 2. Whatever I got to do, I'm not leaving without it. And then from there, I look around, and they have this dumpster. Had a bunch of old metal rods in it, some old chairs, just metal crap, essentially. I'm assuming that they were going to send it to the scrapyard. And inside of it was the second half of the rower with the seat, right, that you sit down on to push your legs. And I'm like, I need that. But I don't want to just go in there, start rooting around to cause hassle. So I managed to get someone to help me out. And I asked her, hey, is there any way that we could fish that out? And she's just like, no, it's in there for a reason. It might have been rained on or it's broken. I was like, well, it doesn't have any electrical components. So I told her, like, hey, is there any chance I could just convince you that this conversation never happened? I may fall into this dumpster when you walk away, and if anything happens, it's my own stupid fault. Like, could we just come to that agreement? So she accepted that. Looks like, oh, wait, okay, maybe we're going back. I don't know. My stats are weird anyways. But so then anyways, she's like, whatever, I don't know what you're talking about, and walks off. So I managed to fish out the second half. I put it together, give it a few, I give it like a quick 200-meter row practice outside. It's working just great. Has a little dust on it. That's an easy fix, right? But again, PM5, practically new. And it's a taller rower too. So it's 20 inches off the ground instead of 14, which I like, a little more comfortable for more people. So I roll that thing to the front. And the lady's like, oh, da-da-da. I was like, yeah, there's no price on this. So I may or may not have fallen into your dumpster, allegedly, where I could have possibly had a conversation with somebody, but maybe I didn't. Who knows? Long story short, she agrees to sell it to me for $16, and I'm hauling it out to my bike. I'm thinking, I didn't think I had this far. Luckily, I have a client who lives nearby, so I just gave him a text. He was over there in about 15 minutes, and we got it to my studio. Awesome. Super stoked on that. Alrighty. Let me see here. I'm just going to do a quick stream check, see how it's going on for everyone else here. I blew out my shorts. You know how it is. Okay, yeah, so I'm running on probably about a 2-minute lag now. This is terrible. Stats are showing that no one is here. I don't know, man. This is so frustrating. I just really wish I could get this thing to work better. I'm going to go ahead and press on, though, just as if someone said they're probably going to try and watch these later today, so I don't want to just dip out, but I'll make this quicker. So, next up, stone training without Atlas stones. This is going to be something that I talk about more in depth when I do my commercial gym strongman program a little later this month. So when we talk about training the Atlas stone, our big things here is we need hip extension, we need leg strength, we need triple extension so we can come up on our toes, load that thing onto the plinth or over the bar. But an underrated aspect of it is our upper back strength to help us keep that position as we come off the ground with it, as well as roll it up. We also need a little chest strength so we can get that bear hug, right? Get our arms around it, get a good squeeze. So if I were to do just a sample kind of 2 days a week, no Atlas Stone program, we do a Zercher Good Morning here. Probably do a barbell or T-bar row here. GHR back extension of some sort there. And these are day 1, day 2. These are going to be lower body days. You know, we're going to write this as if you were doing 4 days a week, 2 upper, 2 lower. Whoops, wrong thing there. Let's go ahead and just, fix that. There you go. Dark blue, that'll work. Whatever, I just need the font to stick out a little bit. And doop, da doop. Alrighty. So actually, let's go ahead and do this just to save myself a little more trouble. Drag these up here. Day 3 and day 4. We're going to just make this a full 4-day work week, so it makes a lot more sense. There we go. All right, so day 1, let's say this is our deadlift day, right? So then after our deads, there we go, deadlift, right? Really long time, he's strong, he's pretty muscular, but he's run down mentally, he's just beat up. He wants to take some time away from the heavy training. You know, he's kind of got that slightly hunched posture. He's got the big guy waddle. His low back is really tight, super arched. You know, you kind of see that sometimes. The joke is on a lot of those Instagram thirst traps. Well, is she really bad, or does she just have a cute lumbar lordosis with a hyperextended low back, right? So we want to just think about pulling them into a more neutral pelvis position, freeing up the shoulders, opening up the chest, and then getting the hips working independently of one another to restore a more natural gait cycle. And we're going to make this conjugate because I love conjugate. So day 1, this will be upper max effort. We're going to make this a slightly more traditional gym style split, but still conjugate and still restorative. And you'll see what I mean when we dive in here. Lower max effort. Big thing though is we don't use the dynamic effort method in most of my programs. Instead, we're going to be using developmental waves, and I'll dive into that a bit more. All right, there we go. We got our days in front of us. And day 1, upper max effort. Obviously, because we're in a restoration phase, we don't want to be doing 1 rep maxes. In general, I'm not a big fan of the 1 rep max unless you're prepping for a 1 rep max event. But especially for someone who's power building, right? He just wants to be strong and jacked. We need to spend more time in higher rep ranges. 5 to 8 is what I generally like. But in a restoration phase, what we're going to do is we're going to push towards a slightly higher rep max. And we'll start the week, hey, you know what? It's International Chest Day with a bench variation. And what we'll do is we'll hit an 8 to 10 RM. Then we're going to drop 15% for 2 sets. 2 sets of 8. 2 by 8. Come on, Mark. 2 sets of 8 to 10 with, let's go, 3 to 5S eccentric. Now, the reason why we're doing that, having in that long eccentric, is with a lot of pressing, your shoulders tend to get beat up, right? You get tired, you get run down. By doing a very slow eccentric, it's actually really good on your joints, gives you more time under tension for the connective tissue. And connective tissue has a lower blood circulatory element versus muscle. So if we can force more blood into the tendons and ligaments, it should help you feel better. Not a doctor, just got to get that out of the way. But this has been my experience and observation over the year. Then after that, we're going to do some sort of overhead variation here. And what we're going to do is a seesaw DB shoulder press. So the seesaw press, that's just as one weight goes up, the other comes down like that. And the reason why we're going to opt for this, it's going to force a very slow, deliberate, and controlled tempo. And again, we get those 2 sides of the rib cage working independently of one another. Like that a lot. That slots in really nicely. And let me just do that so it's easier to thing. We'll do 3 sets of 10 to 12. We'll write 2 exercises, and we can throw in just a little bit more here. Then we're going to do a face pull. Then we're going to do a split stance cable row. Now, the reason for the split stance cable row is by having 1 foot forward with both feet still on the ground as you do the standing row. That puts you in what's known as a mid-stance position if you, subscribe to how MST phrases things. And that's just going to help with strengthening the hips independent of one another, but this also keeps the shearing force on the low back down. So that way you're not generating too much fatigue for the low back as we move into lower max effort the following day. So face pull, split lance cable row. Then we'll do a 1 arm X over tricep press down. And the reason why we're going to do it single arm, keeps the load down, and we're crossing the center line of the body there. So just a good movement that slots in very nicely there and will fulfill our needs for working the tricepticons, getting a great pump, but this will also help attack left and right imbalances, which is never a bad thing, especially in a restoration phase. That just makes sense. And last, but certainly not least, our final movement of the day. Let's go ahead and we are going to make that some rear delt swings. Most of us need a lot more rear delts. Never a bad idea to spend more time and energy on them. I just want to check the quick chat real quick. Don't mind me, everybody. All 0 of you who are actually here anyways, according to my readout. What a terrible, terrible, frustrating situation with my stream today. But again, too, I know it's strongest man on earth today, so I figured I wouldn't get too many of you. All right, so that's our upper max effort day. Then we're going to move into our lower max effort day. And, he's beat, he's run down. Okay, we're gonna do this. This is probably gonna upset some people, but we're gonna do a Smith machine 1.5 squat. We're just gonna let him use the Smith machine today. Reason being, we want to emphasize the legs a little bit more. We're gonna take the stability demand out of this, and we're just gonna let him work a little harder here. And we're gonna work to this one. We're gonna go slightly lower. We're gonna hit a 6 RM, then we'll drop 20% for 2 sets of 8 to 10. Now, the 1.5 rep has some unique benefits to it. Aside from helping with reversal strength, it'll actually force our guy to be much more mindful of his eccentric control. That way, he's not just dive bombing his squat. He's going to have more control in the bottom so he doesn't beat up his knees and back as much. It'll help him lock in a better position. And again, this is a restoration week. We're only going to train this style for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'd probably rotate everything out. Again, with my conjugate waves, I don't like running much more. I don't like changing everything every week. I like 3 to 6 week waves depending on progression, but even 6 weeks on a Smith machine 1 1/2 squat, it's not like he would forget how to squat in general, especially because dynamic developmental or lower body developmental day, we're going to take care of that. So we'll do a Smith machine squat there. Then let's do a split stance RDL. Again, we're getting that B stance, getting the 2 sides of the hips working independently of one another. Then we're going to do an IR split squat. And what an IR split squat is you'll do your standard Bulgarian split squat. Holding your weight, what you'll do is you'll come down and you're going to rotate towards the leg on the ground. So that helps improve internal rotation of the hips, which is something that a lot of lifters need. Most of us over time, we get that really duck-footed posture there, and we get more and more duck-footed because we need internal rotation at the bottom of the squat, but we can't go into internal rotation unless we have some external rotation going on. And what happens is we just tend to not have much IR of the hips due to the fact we never train it. So that'll slot in really nicely there, IR split squat. Then after that, we will do single leg back extensions. Then I love doing vertical pulls on lower body days. So we're going to do a behind the neck lat pull down. And with any sort of behind the neck work, obviously start light, assess how you feel. The movement's not going to be for everyone. But what I have found is with the behind the neck lat pull down, if you are sensible with your load and range of motion progression, it does open up the shoulders. It helps open up the chest. It gets you out of that rounded over posture. So that's going to be beneficial for squatting, for deadlifting, for pressing in general, just because it opens us up a little bit. Because again, in a restoration phase, we are trying to open up the body, bring down the resting heart rate. We're going to add in more cardio, obviously, and just get the lifter feeling a little less run down and beat up. Overall, just kind of think of it as a more general health phase. Now, the upper developmental day here. Let's go ahead. Now, he is a power builder, so we're just going to go barbell bench. Then we will do a 1 arm DB bench here. Then a 1 arm cable row with rotation. Let's go with a Dante pull. Now, if you haven't seen the Dante pull, what that is essentially you'd go to a seated cable row station. You'd kind of put your knees against the seat, so then you're leaned forward like this. And you kind of start almost in a horizontal pull down phase. And then as you pull, you lift your chest up, so it gets the whole back. It also stretches out the low back really nicely. I think this slots in really nicely here. This is a good upper back rear delt type movement. really fun to do as well. Just again, with the restoration phases, all we're doing here is giving them some relief while still training hard, but reducing overall objective loading. And the Dante pulls, you can't go super heavy, so we're good there. Let's see here, we got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got 4 movements, so we can slot in 2 more. Let's go with some slow, eccentric hammer curls for the bicep and elbow health. And then we'll do banded press downs for 100 total reps. Then with the banded press downs there, ultra high reps, just saturating those elbows with blood. Myo match. Doesn't really matter that much. That's kind of one of those things where if I was working with them too, we'd adjust that based off of their progression, how they're feeling. You could train like this for 3 to 6 weeks, especially after a competition. This would be a really good idea. And if you don't have access to some of these pieces, adjust accordingly. Maybe your bench variation is a dumbbell bench press on the incline because you have heavy dumbbells. That'd be a really great option in the off season. And then following that up with the seesaw pressing would be good. For the lower max effort, if you don't have access to a Smith machine, do it with free weights. Heck, you could even do this with a leg press if you wanted to. That would make for a very unique challenge to your legs. And then you still do hit your bigger lifts here on the developmental days. We just keep those percentages lower. Honestly, 3 to 6 weeks training sub 70% is not going to cause you to lose all your strength, but what it will do is allow you to take that step back and refresh, so then you're ready to attack the heavier loads rather than feeling run down and beat to hell all the time. Anyways, I think that's about it for today. Pretty short stream.